Okay, so I have a data set here with 3 different labs, rural, urban, and suburban. And I'm going to do some data visualization and some transformations. This is not the same data set that you will see in your homework, but you will do the same sort of transformations. The first thing I want to do is look at the relationship among these variables. So I can go to graphs, come down to scatter dot, or I can do chart builder, but it's quicker to do scatter dot. Select matrix scatter and define it. I've already done it. Let me reset it. Hold down shift, bring all these variables over and say OK. And you can see that we have the scatter plot among those variables. Seems like there might be a little bit of a curvilinear relationship here. Not very strong relationship among those variables. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go to Analyze. I'm going to go to Descriptives, and I'm going to come down to Explore, and I will bring over my variables to the dependent list. And I'm just going to go to Plots, and I'm going to uncheck stem and leaf and just do normality plots with tests. I'm going to say continue and OK. You can see I get the averages and things like that. Everything is normally distributed, so that's okay. But I'm still going to do some transformations just to show you how. I'm going to go to Transform. I'm going to go to Compute Variable. And let's say we're going to take the log of the rural variable. What I do is I've given it a new name, called it log rural, which I should maybe make it a little distinctive from lab, but it'll be all right. I come to arithmetic and I choose log base 10, and you can see I get log 10 num expression, and it returns a base 10 logarithm of whatever number expression here, which is the variable that I choose. I click this up arrow, and then I'm going to bring the original variable over, named lab rural. So now I'm taking the log of it, and I'm calling it log rural. I say OK, and nothing really happens. But if I go to the data, you now see the log of it. Okay, so I'm just going to run through some other transformations. So I'll go back to Transform, Compute Variable. Let me hit Reset. Let's take the urban variable. Let's call it square root underscore urban. And I can go back to arithmetic, come down here to square root. Again, I kick it up into the top box. I have urban selected and bring it over and hit OK. Go back to the data. You see now I have the square root. Let's do an inverse. I'll go to Transform, Compute Variable, hit Reset. Let's do an inverse of the suburban variable. So I'll call that INV, suburban. And all I have to do for this one is just type it in 1 divided by, and then bring suburban over and say OK. So you see I have log rural, square root urban, inverse suburban, and I will do 2 more. I'll go to Transform, Compute Variable, hit Reset. Let's go back and do the natural log of the rural. So I'll call this LN underscore rural. And go back to arithmetic. LN is the natural log. Bring it up, bring rural over, and click OK. So now I have the natural log, and then the other one was the reflection. To do the reverse, I want to go and find what since these aren't Likert items, I'm going to find what the average is for one of these variables. So let's do urban. So the average is 32, the maximum is 61, and the minimum is 11. I don't want these to be negative or 0, so I'm going to subtract 62, take 62, and then take the variable from that. I'll show you. Go to Transform, Compute Variable. I'm going to call this Reflect Urban. And then I'm just going to, I can either use the keypad on the computer or just use what's here, and I take 62 and then take lab from it. Say OK. You see it here, Reflect Urban. Let's do a quick descriptives. Make sure we did it correctly. And call that Reflect Urban and say OK. And you can see our maximum is now 51, minimum is 1. Okay, so I can use these data now to make predictions. I can look at scatter plots, put them through the explore routine. I just wanted to show you how to do it because in the homework you will be asked to do different transformations.